Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 170. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. The holidays are fast approaching, and perhaps you are freaking out for a variety of reasons. But one might be that you are having guests come to your home, and your home is an absolute mess. Ah! I'm reminded of Home Alone now that we're watching the Christmas movies at home and thinking about Kevin going, ah! And if that is you, do not fear. Today, I am going over 5 steps to help you prep for guests, even if your home is a mess. So make sure that you grab that notebook and pen. And what do you say? Let's dive into today's episode. Just want to remind you that if you are hosting guests and you need an emergency declutter coaching session to help you come up with a plan to actually implement so that your house can be guest ready, never fear, I am more than happy to book a 1 hour decluttering session with you. Or if you live in the greater Washington, D.C. area, I would love to come into your home for about 3 hours so we can knock out some of these tasks together. Just head on over to simplebyemmy.com/coaching so that you can find out more. Okay, so the clock is ticking on these guests coming. What are we going to do? Well, step number one is to approach your home as like a guest would when they are coming into your home. So we are going to start with the high traffic areas. What are the areas that your guests are actually going to see? Now, of course, if they are staying with you, that's going to work a little differently than if they're just coming over for Christmas dinner or something like that. So we want to start with our entryway or a mudroom, definitely the kitchen. We're going to be spending a lot of time in there, the living room, any kind of bathrooms on the main floor, perhaps your basement or game room if people are going to be down there, any bathrooms down there. And if people are staying with you, then we do need to make sure that guest room and or the guest bathroom are taken care of. So kind of making that list based upon how they're coming into the home, what that high traffic area or high traffic areas are going to be. And then number two is that before we declutter anything, we are going to do a sweep of 5 things that's really going to help us get through the initial easy to decide on things, right? Because decluttering is decision making. So we're going to make the decisions easy for us so that we can have a lot of visual impact for what the guests are going to be seeing when they come into the home, right? So we're going to start with the obvious trash. Let's say, for example, you are working in your kitchen. Anything that is on a countertop or anything that is on a shelf that you can see is obviously trash. We're going to throw everything away first. And then I want you to have 2 baskets or bins, your choice, which are going to be your relocating bins. And one of them is going to be for anything on your current floor that needs to go in a different room. And then you might have 1 or maybe 2 that have to go to a different floor. So if you're on the main floor, you might have 1 bin that's okay, anything that needs to go to a different room on this floor. Then we have our upstairs relocating bin. Then we have our basement relocating bin. And I don't want you bringing and saying, oh, this belongs in the basement, and walking down to the basement and coming back up to the kitchen. That's going to waste a lot of time. Right now, we're just going to have them in the bins, and then you're going to put things away in the correct room later on. Okay. So the third thing you're going to be sweeping through would be anything that is overflow. So it might be something that you want to keep, but there's just too much of that right now to make room for guests. A perfect example of this would be your coat closet. If your coat closet is stuffed right now with all of the coats from all of your family members, perhaps you can go in there and say, you know what? I'm really only wearing this one winter coat. My kids are only wearing these 2 coats. Can I take some of the excess coats, bring them upstairs, have some hangers available for when my guests come in? So that would be the same also in the entryway or mudroom for shoes. If you have anything that maybe they're only wearing, your kids are wearing 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, put the rest in their room for the time being. So we're really just taking that overflow. We're not necessarily decluttering at this point, but just being able to make room. And the fourth sweep we want to do is of the surfaces and countertops, especially. So if you're noticing trash, if you're noticing anything that needs to be relocated, our goal is to have all of those surfaces clean, especially in the kitchen and the dining room and anywhere where people are going to be eating. We want to work on those surfaces first. Also in the family or living room, if people are going to be in there watching TV, then we want to work on the coffee table or perhaps some of the side tables that are in there. Then if there's anything on bookshelves that are pretty clearly, you can see they're really cluttered, can we start working on some of those? And then the last sweep is really wiping down any surfaces to the best of your ability, because we want to make sure that they are ready to receive guests. There's not a bunch of dust or it's not super sticky. And so that is your step 2, which is really doing these initial sweeps. So we haven't done any decluttering yet. We're just really trying to prepare the space. The third step is to actually declutter. So we're going to start with anything obvious that we know definitely we want to declutter. And again, you want to have 2 or 3 boxes or bins nearby for that. One is going to be donate, so that's going to go to the donation center, or you're going to have a pickup like Green Drop or something you're going to schedule. And then you might have 1 or 2 bins if you know that you want to give it to a specific person or bring it to a specific place. So maybe you're donating clothes that the kids have grown out of to a neighbor. Probably a better example in this case would be like books they're not reading or games they're not playing with. Those can maybe be given to a friend or their preschool or your church. And I do want you, once you have for that particular space decided what you want to declutter, to get that stuff into your car, out of your home immediately. Make sure that you're putting a reminder on your phone or scheduling that pickup for donation. Once we've made the decision, we don't want to second guess ourselves. So we want to get it out of our home and out of our space immediately. Okay? So that would be step number 3. So now you've done everything that's obvious and also the decluttering things that are obvious to you. Now you have the things that are kind of you're not so sure about. So when we talk about the game that I like to play, the love, like, maybe, no game. So you've gone through the loves and the likes and the things that make sense to be in that space. And now perhaps you have some maybes. And these, again, are all things that are on surfaces that are visible, that are going to be impacting your guests. It doesn't mean that we're having to go through every single drawer or every single closet, but we're thinking of how our guests are going to interact with our space. So if you have anything that's a maybe, or perhaps doesn't belong in the space that you're in, but you don't really know where you want it to be long term, that's when you want to get that out of sight, out of mind bin and put the things in there. Make sure that you're putting a reminder on your phone. Normally I say 30 to 60 days, but since this is an immediate, like trying to get the house in order before guests come, perhaps it would be for after the guests leave that you can take a look at it. And then you want to find a space for that so you can come back to that. And then the 5th step would be to remember that the surfaces and also the floors are the most important. We're again thinking about how our guests are physically moving through our space. So we want to take all the things that are take them off the stairs if you have stuff crowded up the stairs. Anything on the floors, we want to make sure that those are clear. So we've done surfaces, we've done floors, anything having to do with shelves or things that are kind of more visible. And if time allows, then you can work in drawers and any closets that you're not using. So in the guest room, if you want your guests to be able to hang up any of their clothing items, you might need to work in one of those closets, might need to empty a drawer or two for them to put their things in. So it really depends whether you have guests staying with you or not. And to the best of your ability, then you want to clean those surfaces. So the carpet, the floors, again, wiping down the countertops and so forth. So that is kind of the rough and tumble guide to preparing for guests when your house is a mess. We're going to go through them one more time. And again, this is not like the deep cleaning. This is okay, I need to have a plan in place to get my house ready And this shouldn't take you a ton of time and should have a really big visual impact. Then you can always hire me now or in the new year to help you get through more of the drawers and the closets and that kind of thing. So, the first step again to approach your home like a guest and start with those high traffic areas. Number two would be before decluttering, doing a sweep of doing trash, things to be relocated to other rooms or floors, any seasonal overflow, clearing off any surfaces or countertops, and then wiping down the surfaces to the best of your ability. Next, we have the things that you obviously want to declutter, either giving them to a donation center or giving them to a friend that you want to put in your car immediately. Number four is we use an out of sight, out of mind bin for those maybes. And then number five would be remembering that the surfaces and the floors are most important. If time allows, then we're going to work on shelves and anything else visible and use any drawers and the closets that you're not using. Don't worry about those at this point. So I hope that that will help prepare you for the holidays. We are always doing decluttering challenges in the Facebook group. We're finishing one up this week. So come over and join us if you are trying to prep your house for guests and need a little bit of extra support. tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye for now.